Yeah, trying to remember their names. The little boy, Unkar was his name, and his parents lived in a village outside of the city of Pune. It was about a 2 or 3 hour bus ride to get to their village. But his aunt had heard about this clinic in Pune, and there had been some advertising about cleft lip, and she knew her little nephew was born with this disfigurement. And so she said to the parents, why don't you take Omkar in and see what you can do? So that's what happened. They came into Pune on the bus and a little apprehensive about what might happen to the little boy. So he was the very first patient, and we had linked with a hospital, one of the top hospitals in Pune. One of the surgeons there was willing to give part of his time to do the surgery, so for free at that point. And so he did the surgery, and we continued a link through this clinic. It was a medical clinic in one of the poorer slum areas of the city. So we kept up with Umkar. The little girl in Jamkade, her parents were nomadic people. They travelled all over the countryside doing work, setting up little tents, and then they would do agricultural work in different places. So this child, they happened to be in Jamkade, where Keith and I had been working, and we were visiting. And this little baby was born with a very bad cleft lip. And the nurse at the hospital had heard about this child being born to these nomadic people who were living in very poor conditions. So we actually went over to see the baby, and she must have been about 2 weeks old. And the mother just didn't know what to do with the child. And the story goes that if we had not intervened at that point, the child would have died.
She couldn't feed
the child properly. And so anyway, the nurse managed in conversation with the mother to bring the child over in the next couple of days to the hospital. So they started feeding both the mother and the child, because they were malnourished. There's no two ways about it. They were very badly nourished. And after, I'm not too sure the period of time, because we had to move on, but they did arrange with a local surgeon from one of the other cities to come and do a series of operations. And that was the beginning of the project. This little girl had her first operation, and was, of course, they had to give her vitamins and foodstuffs prior to that. Then she came back for a second one a few months later. Okay. So she must be about 8 or 9 now. Life transformed.